Hey, what's up, guys? This is David Chase Taylor of 911truther.org. Today is November 7th, 2020, T-minus 4 days from the U.S. presidential election of November 3rd, 2020. So based on breaking news and events, it's now 100% certain that CIA headquarters located beneath CERN at Lake Geneva in Switzerland will use the disputed U.S. election between incumbent Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Joe Biden to trigger a political race war in the United States designed to trigger a second civil war in America, eventually resulting in the breakup of the contiguous United States of America. In the meantime, while the election is disputed, the CIA plans to stage a made-for-TV attack or invasion by China, Iran, ISIS, North Korea, or Russia. The thinking being that the United States is currently leaderless, and therefore they are preoccupied with the outcome of the election, and therefore they are vulnerable to an attack by a foreign nation or terror group. So although presidential elections have been disputed in the past, for example, Bush versus Gore in 2000, the Trump versus Biden election is specifically designed to balkanize the United States of America between blue states and red states, i.e. divide and conquer. The plan to break up the United States into roughly 50 different countries is nothing new, as it was first proposed shortly after the 9/11 attacks by the Council on Foreign Relations, otherwise known as CFR. The official name of the balkanization or the breakup of the United States is known as the North American Union, whose headquarters is slated to be Denver, Colorado, and whose currency will be called the Amero. And according to rumors online, the currency has already been printed and is awaiting distribution in the aftermath of the breakup of the United States. So although the aforementioned disputed election between Bush and Gore was decided some 40 plus days later on December 13, 2000, the Trump versus Biden campaign or election will never ever be decided, ever. That is to say that the dispute over who won the election will serve as the political catalyst for the breakup of the United States into blue states and red states. The current recounts will turn into recounts and so on and so forth until eventually battleground states like Arizona, Texas, and Florida will legally secede from the Union. When CIA operative Alex Jones went on Joe Rogan's podcast shortly before the election, he spoke of 79 days of hell from November 3rd until January 20th, 2021, when the inauguration of the new or current president commences. So basically, while Trump is still president and the Joe Biden presidency is looming, the CIA plans to use this time to basically stage hell on earth in the United States, either by the aforementioned foreign attacks or invasions on the United States, or in the United States with domestic terrorism. This notion is corroborated by the fact that Trump officially changed his president or residency from New York, where he has lived his whole entire life, to Florida, because Trump is slated to be the de facto leader of the New South, while Obama, Harris, and Biden are slated to be the leaders of the blue states to the north. The notion that the CIA plans to break up the United States is corroborated by the fact that the CIA created the whole blue states versus red states narrative in the first place, and that red states are reopening after COVID-19 while blue states have remained closed. And blue states and blue cities were coincidentally home to the Antifa and Black Lives Matter riots. So in other words, the red states are racist, while the blue states are tolerant or non-racist. And it is imperative to note at this point that both Biden and Trump are unequivocally puppets of the CIA. For example, back on May 22nd, 2020, Biden stated during a radio interview that if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or for Trump, then you ain't black. In other words, black people and minorities are Team Blue, while Non-minorities, i.e. whites, are Team Red. Conversely, Trump stated during the second presidential debate on September 29, 2020, to stand back and stand by in respect to a question as to whether or not he would denounce white supremacy. And that is also why Trump has repeatedly invoked Abraham Lincoln when talking about how much he has done for the African American community, because this is designed to invoke the first Civil War just prior to a second Civil War in America. So just to recap, if you ain't with Biden, you ain't black, and if you're with Trump, you're a closet white supremacist. And this is the narrative that the CIA has created, because they plan to divide the United States between red and blue states, similar to the way that they divided the United States during the first Civil War between blue states to the north and red states to the south. So this laughable narrative only makes sense when it's understood that the CIA's endgame for America is a civil war between red states and blue states, with a hot war in the so-called battleground states of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Texas, etc. So I'm not a political expert by any means, but I do have a minor in political science, and it's really hard for me to understand how 6 states have not been able to properly count their respective ballots 4 full business days later. You know, if it was one state that was disputed, like in the 2000 election with Florida, it would be you know, understandable. But there's 6 states, and that is because the CIA needs ample time to trigger the civil war. So they've created 6 states which now are in limbo, and then they plan to file recount after recount, lawsuit after lawsuit, until they're effectively able to trigger this civil war, which I've outlined in this video. So they've given themselves a number of different states. So if one state decides a victor, then they'll go to the next state, and so on and so forth, so they can drag it out as long as possible. So just a little historical context. America has often been referred to as the Great Experiment because it was never supposed to be a permanent country. This notion is corroborated by the fact that almost all structures in the United States, aside from in the old New England part of the United States, are constructed, residential buildings are constructed out of wood, while in Europe everything is made from steel and concrete. So basically the whole notion of freedom and personal liberty is the truth is it's a direct threat to Switzerland and her CIA, which is why the new space comedy entitled Other Space is set in the aftermath of a world war between Switzerland and the United States. So basically, to make this understood, it's imperative to note that back on September 17th of 2015, I exposed CIA headquarters located in CERN at Lake Geneva in Switzerland. So the CIA is in a race against time to seal this leak, which is spread around the globe. So basically, this is a part of the reason for the draconian COVID-19 restrictions limiting public gatherings, and why so-called big tech, which is cover for the big CIA, has systematically engaged in online censorship. So anything that they can do to limit the spread of the truth virus in respect to the Switzerland and her CIA is currently being deployed. So basically, this is a war by Switzerland against the world to basically wipe out this leak, which has exposed Switzerland as the puppet master of the globe, and therefore they are in desperation mode. Hence all the current political problems that we see. So in the event that the CIA in Switzerland stages race war attacks, political attacks, or triggers state successions, and or does not declare a clear and concisive victor in the 2020 election by December 1st of 2020, I kindly ask that you download this video and share it with family and friends on all social media platforms, with the law enforcement community, with the military community, with the intelligence community, as well as with the local and national chapters of the Democratic and Republican parties, in order to make Swiss interference in American politics a thing of the past. Lastly, if the CIA wants to trigger a second civil war in the United States, they must neutralize me in some form or fashion lest this video becomes prophetic in nature. So based on recent assassination plots targeting yours truly, a suicide assassination, a drowning assassination, or an overdose assassination are the most likely neutralization plots by the CIA. There's also the possibility that the CIA will stage a full-scale attack or invasion by China, Iran, ISIS, North Korea, or Russia, which results in my death. So anyway, I'm praying for a peaceful conclusion to the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Namaste. Peace.